I thought I could make it.
My heart was beating.
I thought I was confident enough to make a safe flight.
The visibility was all changing on me as I was progressing farther along in my flight. I had never been in that situation in a plane.
While in a frantic mode looking for the airport, I lost my situation awareness.
It was kind of a really stressful experience. It was a wake-up call.
The FAA Got Weather campaign is centered around trying to get pilots educated on the various weather conditions that may be thrown at them by Mother Nature. And that's really what pilot training system is trying to accomplish.
The FAA funded my research to solve problems with pilots flying into bad weather and getting themselves killed. As a flight instructor, I've come to know that pilots are trained in one set of weather, which is generally really good, but the day they get their license, they're allowed to operate legally in weather they've never experienced before.
Weather is one of the biggest traps in aviation. As commander of 19th Air Force, I was able to follow the training process from start to finish. And if you can use simulation correctly, you can build experience in pilots that allows them to sense when they're getting in over their heads.
The weather components of simulation are grossly underdeveloped. So we produced ClimaDrive to fill in those technological gaps.
ClimaDrive is a valuable add-on to Microsoft Flight Simulator for current pilots and anybody who wants to be a pilot, because you get an actual weather briefing and you have to go through a few pages of weather briefing information, current weather, forecasts, even radar available, and learn to interpret that to go ahead and make better decisions for your flight. You don't get that with a standard flight simulator.
Current weather simulation requires a user to go in and push buttons to set static weather parameters. ClimaDrive automatically drives historical weather patterns so that the user doesn't even have to intervene with the technology, and the weather's fluid and it changes. The importance of dynamic weather is that it teaches pilots how to use weather information resources both pre-flight and in the cockpit so that they can predict the changes in weather before they actually experience them.
Simulators are used in a variety of different industries around the world now because you're allowed to do very powerful training in a low-cost environment.
I see ClimaDrive as one of those systems that allows pilots to develop that experience in making those decisions earlier. Earlier decisions have inevitably been the root of better safety records.
ClimaDrive's weather engine is so realistic that the National Transportation Safety Board now uses it to investigate weather-related flight accidents.
ClimaDrive, because of its weather generating capability, I think has tremendous benefits to pilots gaining more bad weather flying experience and ultimately saving lives.
With ClimaDrive, I can put them into a simulator, force them to act like a pilot in command in weather that's more challenging than they'll ever experience before licensing. This allows them to develop expert-level decision skills very rapidly.
Simulation is actually really helpful when you're going through training, just because it allows you to be in those kind of dangerous situations without actually having any danger.
And this is how it works. You download the plugin and it installs into your existing simulation software. Then you go to pilottrainingsystem.com to get an authentic weather briefing. You can get a real-time weather briefing, you can get specific historical weather briefings, or you can just tell us what type of weather you want to experience, and ClimaDrive will actually assign you a weather briefing from some historical date and time.
The FAA launched an initiative around what are the biggest concerns of making pilots more proficient, safer, and the number one item was the understanding of the environment, which is weather.
New pilots can use ClimaDrive to experience conditions that they'll never experience before licensing. Seasoned pilots can turn up the power on ClimaDrive and experience more radical weather conditions to practice flying in conditions that would be unsafe in a real airplane.
It injects a healthy fear in pilots and improves to them that things could have gone wrong in real life the way they did in the simulator.
I know that ClimaDrive made me a better, safer pilot.